Hello to my legion of fans on A Body in Progress. I find myself once again in the Redmond airport off on an adventure. Join me. There will be push-ups in several more states coming up, and I'll explain everything. They're just about to call our seating. The radiant Mrs. Johnson, or Mrs. Tiger, is coming along with me on this one. And I'll talk to you again later and explain exactly what's going on.
In the spring of 2022, I was part of a conversation where a member of an organization mentioned that his organization had just purchased a 16-passenger bus, and they needed someone to drive it from the plant in Illinois back to Oregon. And my first thought instantly was push-ups. And so on Monday, June 27th, my wife and I found ourselves on an airplane headed out of Redmond, Oregon, and off to Chicago's O'Hare International Airport. I could spend an entire episode detailing the debacle of simply getting out of Chicago. It began all the way back in Redmond, where our flight out of Redmond was delayed by an entire half a day. And then there was no luggage waiting for us in Chicago. It had not made it onto the plane when we transferred in Denver. And then because we were half a day late, it was now midnight in Chicago, and the limo company that was going to take us from Chicago to Kankakee, where the bus was waiting for us, was closed. So we had to stay in Chicago and wait until the next morning. Our luggage still wasn't there, so we went with the limo to get the bus, thinking we'd bring the bus then back to Chicago and pick up our luggage once it finally arrived. Traffic and an accident on the highway from Kankakee north to Chicago had us down to 1 mile an hour for 2 hours. And then once we got the bus to Chicago, there was no obvious place for a 9-foot bus to pull in and park. But it doesn't really relate to fitness, and I have 6 states in which I did push-ups, and following my unfortunate tradition of insisting to myself that they all be put on video, you get to see them all today if you don't press the stop button on this video. As an overview then, we went from Redmond to Denver to Chicago to Kankakee, back with the van to Chicago, and then headed out back toward Redmond. But while we're in Kankakee, my wife discovered that, as a fan of Frank Lloyd Wright, she discovered that 2 of the houses that he designed and built were right there in the neighborhood. So we stopped to see one of them, and I decided that that would be the spot where Illinois got on my map of 50 push-ups in 50 states. For one set, I actually forgot to press record on the video camera, but thankfully I had my cell phone running as well because I was trying to simultaneously create media to go on my Instagram page. So I do have all 50 push-ups on video as per my own personal requirement. On Wednesday, June 29th, we left our hotel in Loves Park, Illinois, but before we go, gotta show you this. We're here at the Quality Something Something Hotel in Loves Park, Illinois, and I have never seen this in a hotel breakfast room. This is the cutest thing ever. The pancakes themselves were not very good. I took one bite and threw the rest out, but the machine was cool. We were already close enough to Iowa that I planned a route which took us over the border into Dubuque so that I could do 50 push-ups there, and we found a park called Washington Park. From there, we took a highway that went right up along the Wisconsin-Iowa border until it became the Wisconsin-Minnesota border. And just before leaving Wisconsin, we found Riverside Park. This was the first time my wife has ever been around for the 50 push-ups in any of the states, so I did take at least one opportunity to just give her a good laugh. On Thursday, June 30th, we were making such efficient progress through Minnesota, I was getting a little nervous. I was on my phone searching through Google Maps for parks anywhere that would be a good pullover to quickly get 50 push-ups. And I think it was my wife who came across what was called Grotto Park in Fergus Falls, Minnesota, home of Otto the Otter. It was home to a lot of other wildlife also, so we were surrounded by turtles and birds and probably chipmunks and squirrels if I had really looked closely, as I did my 50 push-ups for the state of Minnesota. I'm trying not to turn this into just a random travelogue video that is completely unrelated to fitness, but we do need to stop and point out that this trip, summer of 2022, was the first time in my life that I set foot in North Dakota. Right there on the North Dakota-Minnesota border is the famous city of Fargo, North Dakota. They have a visitor center we stopped in, and they even have in their lobby the wood chipper, the actual wood chipper prop from the film Fargo by the Coen brothers. When we hit Bismarck, North Dakota, we did find a little park called Keelboat Park. Now this is somehow, I have not thoroughly studied the route that Lewis and Clark took to go from Louisiana all the way out to the Pacific coast. But apparently this is somehow connected to that because the park was decorated with little sculptures and statues, some of them very modern and impressionistic, of Lewis, Clark, and Sacagawea. And so anyway, that's where I stopped and did the 50 push-ups for North Dakota. On the morning of July 1st, after spending the night in a hotel somewhere in the western half of North Dakota, we crossed over into Montana. We ended up at the headwaters of the Missouri River, and from a distance that looked like a nice place to stop and get my 50 push-ups. The sun was setting. I didn't have a lot of time to read all of the historical markers there, but apparently there was a small town, a small village or something on this site at one time. You can see the leftovers of the original hotel, such as it was. But a moment ago, I said it looked from a distance like it would be a great place to do the push-ups. After the first couple sets, we drove a little bit further down to get some scenery of the river itself, and I got out of the van, and my wife did too, and within seconds, I was being swarmed by mosquitoes. You're going to see here as I do these sets, you'll see me doing a lot of swatting. I was doing them fast. A lot of these states I've had time to just calmly stop and do the push-ups and then, look around a little bit, sometimes even, strike a dramatic pose or walk off into the sunset. There was none of that here. It was get out of the van, do the push-ups, do a set of push-ups, get in the van, drive a little bit, find the next piece of scenery, get out of the van, do the push-ups, get back in. I would get down and I would start the 10 push-ups, and by the 10th one, there would be 2 or 3 on my face, and I'm just telling myself, just get the push-ups done, go, go, go. Don't stop to swat them, just do it. And then I got up and I have footage here of me actually running down from a scenic lookout point to get back to the van because the mosquitoes were just swarming and following me. As far as the topic of fitness goes, that is all that this video is designed to cover. From Montana, we went up into Idaho. I've already done Idaho, and then we went into Washington, which I've already done, and down into Oregon. That gets me 28 states. I have 22 to go, and at this point, as I record this, 21 months to do it in.